Hello, my loves, and welcome back to the Kim Circle podcast, a sanctuary of truth, transformation, and soul-centered living. I'm your host, Jessa Francis, a trauma-informed yogi, a shadow work coach, a memoir writing guide, and an alcohol-free beverage consultant. If this is your first time here, know this: the Kim Circle is not just a podcast. It is a living, breathing community of healing and embodiment. And my work extends into two interconnected worlds. The Kim Circle, where we do the deep inner work of reclaiming your story, energy, and truth, and Untoxicated, where I support businesses in creating elevated alcohol-free beverage programs that prioritize clean label functional ingredients. These are not separate paths. They are two sides of the same coin. Because here is what I have learned. You cannot just think your way into a new life. You have to live into it. And that means examining not just your thoughts and stories, but what you're putting into your body and why. In this podcast, we move between these worlds intentionally, exploring shadow work, nervous system healing, alongside conversations about adaptogens, biohacking, clean label living. Because true transformation is not just about the inner work or the outer choices. It's about an integration of both. So whether you've been with me for a while or just finding this space, I'm so honored that you're here. Get cozy, take a breath, come as you are. Let's drop in and rise together. This is the Kim Circle. Okay, today, my friends, I want to share a story that I really haven't fully told yet. And it is the story of how I became an alcohol-free beverage consultant, a creative director of alcohol-free and functional beverage programs. Because it wasn't a business plan. It was not a calculated career move. It was divine timing, meeting years of preparation, meeting a choice to say yes. So let me take you back to 2020. I was living in Scotland. I was getting my master's degree in creative writing from the University of Aberdeen. I was a mother of three, a military veteran, still processing a lot of my own trauma. I was freshly divorced, and if I'm being honest, completely lost. And when 2021 rolled around, I moved back to the States, and I was trying to figure out what to do with myself. I was on this journey of uncovering myself at the core, at the root of me. And so much of that work had been done. But how was this new person supposed to navigate in the world, right? So I had just moved to Charleston, South Carolina, and I was working TaskRabbit just to make ends meet, just trying to get by while I was slowly figuring things out. I had dreams, vague, beautiful dreams about building writing retreats, maybe travel journalism, right? But honestly, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. At this point in time, I had fully surrendered to what I wasn't even sure. But I was deep in my shadow work. I was deep in my personal development journey, trying to figure out who I was on the other side of everything that had fallen apart. I was stepping into a completely new life. So when a TaskRabbit gig came through to paint an accent wall at someone's house, I said yes. Of course I said yes. I needed the money. And that someone was Emily Heintz. As I painted that wall in her home, we started connecting, swapping stories. I told her about my freelance writing startup, about my logistics and distribution background from my military service. And Emily, being the brilliant solarpreneur that she is, recognized something in me, right? And she asked me to come in for an interview. And that's when I learned about Sechey, Charleston's first alcohol-free bottle shop that was getting ready to open. She needed someone exactly like me, someone who understood logistics, someone who could write, someone charismatic that could work with customers, someone with that jack of all trades spirit that startups desperately need. And so she hired me before the doors even opened for the first time on King Street downtown. I became Sechey's distribution manager and copywriter, writing the copy for the website, the brand descriptions, and creating a Meet the Maker blog post where I was interviewing the founders behind these brands. And honestly, it became an immediate passion project. I dove in heart first, all in. I had never heard of anything about the alcohol-free beverage industry before this. I didn't even know that this world existed. And I was absolutely blown away by all that was available. Looking back now, I can see it so clearly. This was divine intervention. I had thrown my arms up in Scotland, begging God, the universe, source, whatever, to intervene in my life, and it did. So this has been an incredible spiritual journey for me, and everything has worked out and is continuing to work out as it needs to. So working at Sechey became my immersion. I started tasting everything, learning the brands, understanding the stories behind them. I fell in love with Rasasvada, these gorgeous Ayurvedic-inspired elixirs with adaptogens and botanicals, with curious Elixirs for their organic, thoughtfully crafted cocktail alternatives, with Bax Botanics for this beautiful UK-based non-alcoholic spirit that was sophisticated and a beautiful alternative to gin. And then things like Wilfred's Aperitif with their beautiful bittersweet non-alcoholic Campari replacement. And then Amethyst, right? They're really bold, flavorful, ritual focused options, right? All of these different brands that I was getting to know the people behind them, and the mission behind them, the why behind them, right? These were not just drinks. These were movements in a bottle. These were statements. These were brands saying you don't have to choose between celebration and well-being, between social connection and taking care of yourself, between showing up fully present and having a sophisticated beverage experience. And I became fascinated, consumed, really. And at first, that's all that filled my mind was the alternative, the tool to help you switch, the tool to support you in getting out and staying out in the world, celebrating, socializing, living fully without alcohol. This felt revolutionary. This felt like hope for so many people who'd been sitting on the sidelines, feeling left out, feeling like sobriety meant sacrifice. I threw myself into learning everything I could. The brands, the ingredients. I'd never heard of this space, right? The emerging science around adaptogens and nootropics, this functional beverage. I was captivated by what this movement meant for the world. And this is coming from a not sober person. I had not necessarily struggled with alcohol, but it had been deeply ingrained into my life, right? My parents were heavy equipment construction workers. They drank. My background is military. The military drinks, right? And so really at first it was just like this option, and it was this ability to own my relationship with it, right? And that was the first part. But then I started noticing a few things. I was, like I said, deep in this world of self-development. I was deep in this space of shadow work and my own becoming. And I dove deeper and deeper into my own health and wellness journey, right? Doing my yoga teacher training, studying the nervous system, understanding trauma in the body, all at the same time. And I started paying attention to what I was eating. I had honestly always paid attention to what I was eating. But now I was really paying attention. I became a label reader, obsessive, maybe, but educated. I wanted to know what was going into my body, where it came from, how it was processed, what those ingredients' names actually meant, because that became a big and is a really big important thing, right? We're eating all of these processed foods and we are getting sick because of it, right? And so then one day I had this moment of realization, and that seems so obvious now, but it hit me like a lightning bolt. Why wouldn't I be just as careful about what I'm drinking? Because I had always been like a water drinker. That's what I drank, right? If I wasn't having a cocktail, I was having a coffee or a tea and water. So now I'm drinking all of these other options. I'm working at a bottle shop and I'm consuming all kinds of different drinks. And I start noticing how it's making me feel. And so, of course, I start reading the labels on these alcohol-free beverages the same way I read food labels. And what I found, well, it was eye-opening. Some of the brands I loved, they had ingredients that I would never eat. Artificial sweeteners, synthetic flavors labeled as natural flavors, which can legally mean almost anything. Excessive amounts of sugar, food dyes, preservatives, ingredients I couldn't pronounce and couldn't find any information about. And I had this uncomfortable realization that just because something doesn't have alcohol doesn't mean it's supporting my health. If I was choosing to be alcohol-free for my well-being, for my mental clarity, for my physical health, for my spiritual practice, for my presence, why would I replace alcohol with beverages that were still compromising my body in different ways? So this is when everything shifted for me. As I deepened into this work, I started developing a reputation as kind of this clean label girl. Because here's what I noticed. The alcohol-free beverage market was exploding. New brands launching almost every week, it felt like. Bars and restaurants starting to offer options, events featuring mocktail menus. And that's beautiful. That's progress. That's momentum. But not all alcohol-free beverages are created equal, right? There's a difference between a craft functional cocktail that is booze-free and a mocktail. Huge difference. Just because something doesn't have alcohol does not mean it's supporting your health. Many popular alcohol-free options are loaded with artificial sweeteners, those synthetic flavors, food dyes, excessive sugar, right? Ingredients that are disrupting your gut microbiome and your hormone balance. They're not helping. And if you're making the conscious choice to remove alcohol from your life, whether for your mental health, your physical health, your spiritual practice, or simply because you're just ready to be more present, why would you replace it with something that's still harming your body in different ways? So this is where the clean label focus becomes crucial. I started specializing in brands that are organic whenever possible, free from those artificial ingredients and those preservatives, the emulsifiers, the fillers, right? Transparent about their sourcing, using adaptogens and nootropics that are backed by traditional use and real emerging research. Drinks that are truly going to support gut health rather than compromise it, and that are creating products that actually serve your well-being. This isn't about perfectionism. This isn't about purity culture or orthorexia. This is about informed choices. and about understanding what you're putting in your body and why. So we're coming from a world of not having any of these choices to having a lot of the choices. So of course there's going to be a learning curve, right? And this brings me to where I am now. So I have been increasingly involved in the biohacking world and the longevity conversation. And if you're paying attention to the wellness space right now, you know that longevity isn't just about living longer. It's about living better. Health span, not lifespan. Optimizing how we think, how we feel, how we move through the world in these bodies that we've been given. And alcohol has become a huge part of this conversation. We're seeing the research come out in real time. Andrew Huberman talking about how even moderate alcohol consumption impacts sleep architecture, hormone productivity, brain health, right? Peter Attia discussing alcohol's effect on longevity and disease risk, the Surgeon General confirming the cancer risk, particularly for women. The biohacking community is waking up to what many of us have already known. If you're optimizing everything else, your sleep, your nutrition, your movement, your supplements, your stress management, but you're still drinking alcohol regularly, you're undermining all of it. Alcohol disrupts your gut microbiome. It compromises your sleep quality, even if it helps you fall asleep. It affects hormone balance, particularly estrogen metabolism in women. It impairs cognitive function and neuroplasticity. It increases inflammation, it stresses your liver, and affects detoxification pathways, right? So people are making the choice to remove it, and that is powerful. But here's where it gets nuanced, and this is where I want to talk about this very carefully. When you remove alcohol, what are you replacing it with and why? So this is where my work with the Kim Circle and my work with Untoxicated truly merge. Because if you're removing alcohol, but you haven't done the inner work around why you were drinking in the first place, what you were trying to cope with, escape from, or numb out, you might just be trading one form of escapism for another. So maybe you're not drinking vodka anymore, but you're drinking 4 CBD seltzers a day. Maybe you've replaced wine with different adaptogenic infused beverages. Maybe you're using kava every night the same way you used to use alcohol, right? And I'm not saying that these substances are inherently bad, right? Kava has beautiful traditional uses. CBD has legitimate therapeutic benefits. These can be tools. But when they become a crutch, when they become the only way you know how to relax, to socialize, to cope with stress, to come down at the end of the day, that's when and where we need to pause and get honest. This is about the pattern, not just the substance. So are you using these beverages to support your nervous system regulation or to avoid doing nervous system work? Are you choosing adaptogens to help you manage stress more effectively or to bypass healing or dealing with the source of that stress? So are you reaching for these drinks because they genuinely enhance your experience or because you still believe you need something external to feel okay, to be social, to celebrate? These are the questions we have to ask ourselves if we're truly committed to conscious living. So let me be really clear about what I mean by conscious consumption, because it is not just about the ingredient list. Conscious consumption means understanding your why. Why are you choosing this beverage? What are you seeking? Connection, relaxation, ritual, celebration. And can you access those states without needing a beverage at all? Okay. knowing what's in it, reading labels, understanding ingredients, asking questions, choosing brands that are transparent about sourcing and formulation, prioritizing clean label options that support rather than compromise your gut health. Using, not abusing. Even beneficial substances can be problematic if we're using them to escape rather than to enhance. Moderation and intentionality matter. And then supporting holistic well-being. Does this choice support your mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual health? Are you optimizing one area while compromising another? So really being honest about the work. Adaptogens, nootropics, they can support you. But they can't do the work for you, right? You still need to process your trauma, regulate your nervous system, face your shadows, build genuine coping skills. And this is why my work spans both of these worlds, because the Kim Circle is where we do that inner work, the shadow work, the nervous system healing, the story reclamation, the embodiment practices. And Intoxicated is where businesses can learn to offer beverages that support people in making informed choices based on that inner knowing, right? You can't skip the inner work and just buy better beverages. You can't do all the inner work but keep poisoning your body with the substances that undermine your healing, right? True transformation requires both. So Intoxicated is supporting the external, the outside world, providing tools, giving access, right? Making the world more friendly to your healed, authentic, beautiful self. And then the Kim Circle is where you are stepping into that healed, authentic self, right? So this is where it all comes together. Brain-spirit connection. Let's talk about that. This is where it all comes together in your gut. We know that your gut microbiome affects everything. And if you don't, let me tell you, it affects everything. Your mood, your mental health, your immune function, your hormone balance, your cognitive function. The gut-brain axis is real. I've been writing about this in my Substack. It's profound. When you consume alcohol, you're devastating your gut microbiome. You're creating inflammation. You're compromising the integrity of your gut lining. You're affecting the production of neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine, right? Those things that regulate your mood. We want serotonin and dopamine, and this is affecting them severely. But even when you remove alcohol and you replace it with beverages full of those preservatives, artificial sweeteners, those synthetic ingredients, those lab-derived ingredients, the excess sugar, you're still compromising your gut health. You're still affecting your mental and emotional well-being through a different pathway. This is why the clean label focus matters so much to me. When I'm curating beverage programs for wellness events, for bars, for restaurants, I'm not just looking for alcohol-free options. I'm looking for options that actively support gut health, that use ingredients like prebiotics, probiotics, adaptogens, whole plant botanicals that nourish the microbiome. Because how you think, how you feel, how you move, how you show up in the world, it's all connected to the health of your gut. And your gut health is directly influenced by what you consume. So this is holistic wellness, not just removing the bad, but actively choosing the good and understanding that your body, mind, and spirit are an integrated system. So living in this one precious body, right? It's the truth I keep coming back to. You have one body, one nervous system, one gut microbiome, right? One precious life in this physical form. And every single thing that you consume is either supporting or undermining your ability to fully inhabit that body, to be present in your life, to access your gifts, to show up for the people that you love, to do the work that you're here to do. And removing alcohol is profound. It's powerful. It opens up possibilities that you couldn't even imagine when you were drinking, but it's not the end of the journey. It is the beginning. The real work is building a relationship with your body that is based on nourishment, not punishment, based on presence, not escape, based on deep listening to what actually serves you. Sometimes that's an adaptogenic elixir at a celebration. Sometimes it's a kava drink to support nervous system down regulation after a stressful day. Sometimes it's sparkling water with lemon. Sometimes it's nothing at all. Just you, your breath, and your capacity to be with what is. The goal isn't to find the perfect beverage. The goal is to develop such intimate knowing of yourself that you can make choices from a place of true alignment. That's what conscious living looks like. That's the integration of inner work and outer choices. That is the bridge between the Kim circle and intoxicated. So if this conversation is resonating with you, if you are ready to explore not just what you consume, but why, and to do the deep work of healing your relationship with substances, stress, self, I'd love to support you. The Kim Circle membership is where we do the integration work together. We move from awareness into embodiment through shadow work, nervous system healing, and practices that help you truly inhabit your body and your life. This is where you learn to make choices from alignment rather than avoidance. And if you're a business owner, a bar, a restaurant, a wellness center, or an event space, and you're ready to offer clean label, elevated alcohol-free beverage programs to your customers, I work with businesses through Intoxicated as a beverage consultant and creative director of experiences. So you can learn more with me. All you need to do is reach out. You can find me on Instagram at intoxicated.world or at Jessa Francis. Both pathways are waiting for you at thekimcircle.com. That is TheKimCircle.com. Thank you for joining me in this sacred space today, for being willing to look at these questions with honesty and care. Before we close, I want to offer you something. Right now, wherever you are, place one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly. Take a deep breath all the way down into your gut, the seat of your intuition, your second brain, your knowing, and breathe out. Ask yourself, what does my body actually need right now? Not what I've been conditioned to reach for, not what everyone else is doing. What do I need? Your body knows, your gut knows. The work is learning to listen. Remember, you can't just think your way into a new life, right? You have to live into it. And that means honoring this one precious body with every choice you make. Whether your journey brings you to the Kim Circle for the inner work, to Intoxicated for business seeking conscious beverage programs, or to both, know that you don't have to walk this path alone. Until next time, keep dropping in, rising together. This is the Kim Circle podcast, and I'll see you in Sanctuary.